right, everybody's gonna get sick and tired of hearing me say it, but I love that freaking intro music. It is awesome. I rock out every time. I am Scott. I'm the Sober Heathen, and I am very happy that whoever you are, wherever you are listening to the podcast. Super excited for this one. Little selfish thing here, get to mark Ireland off the map of guest appearances,
Yay.
man. Yeah, man, I cannot wait to just sit and listen to Emma talk because I love the accent. It's awesome. Emma, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I already spoiled where you're from, so welcome to the podcast. Tell us a
Thank
little bit about
you.
yourself.
Okay, Scott. So as you know, I'm Emma from Belfast, and I have been not drinking alcohol for 3.5 years now.
Oh, wow.
And I am so grateful I came across you on Twitter. And I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you so much for the opportunity just to be sitting here and get to tell my story and maybe share it with people who are listening and maybe inspire some people and maybe give some people some tips. But because I know every sober journey is different and all the reasons why people choose to be sober are different also. And all, the way people reach out as well. I know you mentioned a lot in your podcast about AA and other support networks and stuff. So I would like to get talking about that if we do. I had a plan of what I wanted to speak about, but as you know yourself in life, sometimes it just doesn't go that way. I'll probably talk about different things, but the reason why I stopped alcohol basically was, if I think about it now, I really should have given up around 10 years ago. But I started on my trying to be sober 6 years ago. And the reason was because I just didn't like the way alcohol was making me feel. Even while I was drinking, just being drunk. I wasn't never a happy drunk when I look back. And to be honest with you, I don't see how anybody can say drunk is happy. So I would feel strongly about that. So I wasn't a happy drunk. I always ended up crying, in a terrible state, waking up not remembering where I was, what I'd done, and really bad anxiety. And then as the years went on, it turned into like kind of depression after alcohol. So I'm not too sure where, I can't really pinpoint one thing. But all I know is that I woke up one day and says, I've had enough of this. There has to be more to life than feeling this way at the weekends. And also, it wasn't just the weekends. It started to get to the point where I was drinking alcohol because I was stressed, not because I wanted to have a good time. The way alcohol's glamorized and advertised, and we're brainwashed for it it makes it look like life is much more better with alcohol when it's the actual opposite. And obviously, yourself, we all know it destroys more lives than it helps lives. So I'm trying to sort of structure what I'm saying here. The main reason was low mood, no motivation, severe depression, bad anxiety, negative thoughts. And I then started to, when I give it up, so I'm completely free from it 3.5 years. And from that, my life has changed amazingly in so many ways. I feel like a different person. And I'm so, so grateful for my inner strength, because being Irish isn't hard. Being Irish, it's hard to give up alcohol because we're known for Guinness and having a good time and getting in the Irish pubs and doing pub crawls and things like that there. So it is quite a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of ingrained in us, So coming away from that alone was quite challenging, because it actually wasn't a craving for alcohol. It was actually undoing a lot of behaviors and mindsets. So from that time, say 3.5 years, I've been to, well, I've obviously celebrated Christmas, birthdays, christenings, weddings, unfortunately funerals, and then other life experiences. And alcohol, they're fueled with alcohol. And to overcome that, I just feel like I have this superpower, and I want other people to know that they can have this too.
Right.
And I socialize, I go out with my friends, we go to bars, I still go to all like family weddings and things like that. And I would say, and my family members have told me this, and my friends, that I'm actually the one enjoying myself the most without alcohol,
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm journaling every day. Hopefully one day, I don't know, I don't like to say things before they actually happen, but I would love to write a book. I actually am writing, but it would be more to publish a book, and basically just for it to be someone else's survival guide.
Yeah.
And it's brought me here, speaking to you on my first ever podcast interview. And my dream, so hopefully
Awesome.
you can help me with this. My dream is to have my own podcast.
Awesome. Yeah.
So you've
Yeah.
inspired me. You're the first person.
Awesome. Well, I will do anything I can to help you.
Thank you so much. It has to be experienced. I just wish people would wake up to it, like especially young people.
Yeah.
And there is, where I'm from, I've seen a lot of young people, they're watching my posts and they're watching other people giving up alcohol and starting to be living a life more freely, and achieving more goals and becoming better versions of themselves. And I really, really hope that that's the way the world starts to go in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard to for the younger crowd to see it, and being in treatment 4 times, the younger crowd seems to be on the NA side of it, coming in to try to get help from other drugs like needles and pills. It always seemed like the AA groups were the older dudes and women, were in the AA thing. You know what I mean? Like the older people were in there for alcohol because for whatever reason, it doesn't click in at an early age that how poor alcohol is for you. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's celebrated, it's everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really hard to be like, well, if it's so bad, why is it everywhere? That might not be a thought that you have in your head, but that's certainly how it's presented in society.
Yeah. And another thing I tend to always ask myself, and I do put it out there when I'm in conversations with people in my day job. I'm a fitness instructor as well. So, and I'm also a clubber size instructor, and that is sober sober clubbing. So it's like a night scene, like a nightclub scene, but it's exercise to music. So when I have that class and getting the message out to them, so as many people as I'm around, I'm trying to get that message out. What is it that's good about alcohol? Tell me one good thing that you like about it. And it is a perfect question, because it just makes them go, God, she's right. What is good about alcohol?
Yeah.
I don't, in my opinion, nothing. There's nothing good about it. You don't need alcohol to relax. You don't need alcohol to have a good time. You don't need alcohol to get rid of low mood, because it actually makes it 1,000 times worse.
Yep.
And I just want to dig deep into the research as to why it's ingrained in humans so much and how we can move away from it.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a false positive. It's I know in AA they talk about the immediate ease and comfort you get from taking that first drink. Well, that may be true for the normal drinkers. I know that's what I'm seeking every time that I picked up in the past, was that immediate ease and comfort, but it doesn't last. It's here and it's gone before you know it. And for me, I was chasing that feeling the entire time. So, started out having, a couple shots and a beer, and that I had that feeling and I could ride it out for a little bit. And then by the end, it would take a half pint or a pint of vodka to get that feeling. And then it was gone because by the time that, you know, um, but by the time that I actually started feeling good, I was already so far in the bag, I was already heading toward passing out as it was. So yeah, there's no real positive in it. It kills your body, it kills your brain. There's, there is real no positive. I mean, like I said, it's a false positive. One of my favorite quotes is alcohol gave me wings, but then it took away the sky. So, you get this sense of freedom, and you get this sense of like, oh, I'm funnier, I'm more outgoing, and that might be the case, but it's also behind those things taking away so much more.
Yeah, you're 100%. That's a lovely quote. It's very true. I took a drive a couple of weeks ago to get into my car. And see, geographically speaking, where I live, I come from what you would call a working class area.
Mhm.
Okay, so crime rate is high. Without getting into all this, but I'm going to mention it to you so you can get an insight as to where my background and where I'm coming from. The war in the north of Ireland, okay, in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, but well, I'm 46, so I lived through the Troubles, okay? So our areas and our part of our country are actually still coming out of the we're still coming through the emotions of the trauma of the Troubles, okay? So on top of that, in our areas, I'm politicians need to come together for this reason. Every housing estate where I live has an off license where young people stand outside every weekend, because I was one of those young people, and it's at the corner of every housing area from their 13, wanting adults to buy them alcohol. And the reason they're doing that is because the generations before them are doing that, and it make it look, it's like a mystery. Oh, why are we not allowed to drink this? Well, that's just going to want to make young people drink it even more, okay? Because you know what their wee minds are like. So this is where the problem is. So see, because we don't have intervention, because intervention is prevention. So if they didn't have that when they're young, growing up, it could 50% help half the problem, like it could. So me and you're talking about as adults how we deal with it, what we think about it, but children don't know that yet. Yeah. So they're going to start drinking, and then by the time they're older, it's too late. Yeah. So we need to sort out what young people are saying. Their environments need to be healthier. They need to remove the off licenses where children are looking at it every morning going to school. Obviously, they watch their parents drinking. I watch my parents drinking. I don't think it was part of my problem. It might have added to it because it's a family thing. It's normal. Yes, that's right. But I think we need to go back. I'm just passionate about it, Scott. I didn't just give up alcohol because I was suffering as an alcoholic. I was afraid of going in that direction, and yes, it was taking over my life, but I'm more passionate about helping other people and preventing people from becoming alcoholics, and I know we can do it because the quote, like yourself, I'm into philosophy, become the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. So remove the off licenses from our working class areas. Our children deserve better. If they're not there and they have healthier centres like well-being centres or a place where something is like positive, it draws them in where they want to work on their goals and they come together and they do community things and they don't, that would be part of the problem gone. So they won't have to sit and talk on podcasts at our age, at this stage in their lives, about the damage alcohol has done to them,
Yeah, no, the only way. Yeah, and the only way to do that is to do what you're doing, speaking out and talking about it and bringing awareness to it. I think you're right. There's two things that need to happen. One, the stigma needs to be removed of, only bad people drink, and then the stigma needs to remove that alcohol is a positive. I mean, look, I mean, I'm all about freedom, right? So if you want to drink, then that's your choice. But I
Yes, I'm
think,
not against it either. Yep, I know what
right,
you mean. Yep.
yeah, but we need to be realistic and put the information out there for the younger people to so they know what it does to you. I mean, you know,
Education.
yeah. I mean, I've been told, and through treatments, through the people that know, that once you start abusing alcohol, your brain stops developing. So, I started abusing alcohol at 21. So, I think males, it's something like 25 or 27 or something, your brain develops. So my brain stopped developing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you started using earlier than that, your brain, you literally rewire connections in your brain when you start abusing alcohol. And I think if, we have all these studies in college and high school and stuff that they want taught. I think education on these type of things would be super important for sure.
Yep. And do you know one other big problem is when you look at the bigger picture, it's legal. It's a
Mhm.
legal drug.
Yeah.
So that's where people are brainwashed, people aren't critical thinking, and young children especially are exposed to this. So I tend to say when people they're speaking to me, they say alcohol and drugs, I say, no, it's drugs. All right, I'm not going to judge you for drinking it, that's your choice, but just remember it's a drug.
Hmm.
It is a drug. Just because it's legal doesn't make it any less of a drug.
Yeah.
That's the government and their corruption side. Because of the tax and whatever way they want to control it, they don't care about humans. If they cared about us, they wouldn't have alcohol so freely in supermarkets, and there wouldn't be, it's trying to narrow it down again. There's so many things that I want to talk
Hey,
about,
hey, we
but
got all the, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
do you know what I mean?
just
So
just talk. Yep, it's all good.
it's legal, so that's a big problem. And young children, like there you go. There was a post doing its rounds on Facebook. I went off Facebook at Christmas and went back on there because my son is doing really well at boxing. It helps his mental health. Growing up here in Belfast, it's we're losing young people by suicide every single day.
Yeah.
So, and it's his generation that, alcohol and drugs is it's just wiping them out. Opioids, as they're known as well, and things like that there. And then also alcohol is a gateway drug now to cocaine. So when I was out a couple of weeks ago when my son was boxing, and then I was out in other places, and every single toilet, people are in closing the doors in the toilets. They're not out in the bar. They're in the toilets, and we all know what they're doing in the toilets. So if they weren't in that bar drinking, they wouldn't be in the toilets doing what they're doing. And I don't have to say it in so many words, but and then there was this post going around Facebook, and it was I thought to myself, here we go with Facebook, the negativity and things like that. But it was like a long post, and everyone was sharing it, and it was the message was, young women, when you are out in the city centre and you're drinking alcohol with your friends aren't safe, so they're in danger. But the message wasn't about alcohol. The message was about, so make sure you all stick together, make sure you watch your friends. And I thought to myself, this is wrong. This is a total wrong message. What they should be saying is, don't drink alcohol. You can't keep an eye on your friends if you're drunk. So do you understand me? I didn't comment on it. I didn't share it. I didn't get involved in it. I just thought to myself, the critical thinkers there would say, they're asking young children, teenagers, to look after their friends in case they go off in danger, when they're already in danger when they're drinking alcohol anyway. So how can they all look after each other if they're blocked out of their heads, falling about the city centre?
Yeah.
It's just there. It's right there in front of our eyes. And I have my daughter. My daughter's 19 and my son's 25. And I know I'm getting through to them. And I believe they've already told me, other people have told me, that I am becoming a brilliant example to them, from constantly talking about the dangers of alcohol, how much your life will improve without it. And
Yeah.
my daughter is actually starting to think about giving it up, and she's only 19. She's saying, Mummy, I feel like listening to you, that I don't want to drink alcohol anymore. You've put me off it. And I said, yes,
Awesome.
because I've made you aware of the day after you've been drinking. How are you feeling? You're stuck in bed. You can't study for university all because you're lying there dying from a hangover. You're feeling sad. You're eating the wrong food.
Yeah.
Why? You don't need it. You're young and beautiful. You don't need alcohol. You don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's quite literally a poison, but
Yep.
it's not how it's portrayed, and that's unfortunate. It's made to
Glamorized.
be. Yeah, I mean, movies and then TV shows, oh, I woke up with a hangover. Oh, and everybody's laughing and it's comical. Well, I wish I could have filmed myself doing the nightly and morning dry heaves for hours and hours on end with nothing, not producing anything come out because I've already puked it all up, but I'm just hovering over the toilet or a trash can, dry heaving all day because of what alcohol had did to me. You know what I mean? They're not going to show that because that doesn't sell. And at the end of
Yep.
the day, it's a money making process, and um,
100%. Yep.
yeah, I mean, we can, and I agree. I wish it just didn't exist, but people are going to find a way. It was illegal back when Bill W. For a time, Bill W. was trying to get sober before he wrote the Big Book or whatever, and alcohol was illegal, and people are still getting it somehow. You know what I mean? So I think you're right. The best avenue to do this is awareness and education. That's what's going to solve the problem because people are going to find a way to get it one way or another. And I didn't believe for the longest time, even when it was a problem, I didn't believe it was a problem. I believed it was a problem that I could solve by just modifying or changing things here and there. And that's the deception of this disease.
Yeah.
It makes you think that today will be different, even though evidence would suggest, the last year of my life, it's been the same result every single day.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Amazing. And another thing was that the stigma. I find myself. This is what I've experienced, Scott, in the during the 3.5 years. You come across different characters, okay? So you'll come across characters who go, "Oh my God, that is absolutely amazing. Tell me more. I would love to give up alcohol." And then you'll get the people who try and patronize you and put you down.
yeah,
I remember I was in the company of a crowd of people, and a woman in particular. Well, some people in the company were saying to me, why don't you just drink? You're making people feel uncomfortable. Like, because I know. And I was like, well, actually, that wasn't my problem. That problem sat with that person. But I'm
yeah,
very aware of that. They were just projecting who they were onto me.
yeah,
And I couldn't decide what to drink, even though I was in a bar. I love being in a bar. I love being around people. But you just don't need to drink alcohol to be in a bar. I want to stop that stigma of socializing. You have to drink alcohol to socialize. But getting back to the point, um, I decided, not very good decision, to drink Red Bull. Yuck! But there was nothing else. But it wasn't
yeah,
alcohol. So anyway, I bought a tin of Red Bull. When I came down to the table, a woman, put her head to the side and went, "Oh no, like, oh, I feel sorry for you. You can't drink alcohol." Patronizing me again, and it was awful. I actually wanted to cry because they were making me feel like I was less of a person. Um, so I just got up and went out a wee walk just to get fresh air because I didn't want to react, and I didn't want to let their insecurities bring me down,
yeah,
you know. But even that, there you come across people who will really, really push you and inspire you and be so happy for you, and then you'll just get other people who'll say, "No, you're the one with the problem. There's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol." Yes, like me and you were saying earlier on, Scott, there isn't, but I don't like it when people start to blame the person.
yeah,
Alcohol is a problem and alcohol isn't good. But if people want to drink it, that's fine. It's not up to me to judge them. But yet they judge you for not
yeah.
drinking.
Yeah, I think
Just
that's terrible. I don't see what you get out of that. I've been fortunate enough. I haven't dealt with that. Like, exactly. Like, come on, dude, don't be a quitter. I've had
Yeah,
people
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, in jest, they'll say that. I had one friend who I mean, he's still my friend. I still care about him. But I don't talk to him as much intentionally because, he was in the mindset that if I would just drink with him, he would show me how to do it and he would keep me in line. We could go out and hang out and he would be able to help me control my drinking. And he just doesn't get it. He meant well by it. And then, other people have said to me, well, just drink beer, just, slow down. I can't. That's the whole
Yeah, it's
freaking
me.
point. I can't, if I would love to be able to go out and have a couple beers with dinner, but the fact of the matter is, for me, there is not, well, there's maybe one alcoholic drink that I enjoyed the taste. It was not for the taste for me. It was for the effect.
Yes.
And, and so the effect, and the farther you go into it, the shorter amount of time. I have a video pinned on my Twitter. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was written by Nuggets. It's called Nuggets, and it's a picture of this bird. You'll have to check it out. It's really great because it's just
Is
like
this
this.
the one you put up a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, it's the black and white one with the bird and the yellow
Oh my
substance.
God, powerful,
Yeah,
powerful.
that's exactly what it is. You get that effect, and then as you get addicted,
I
that effect
cried when I
becomes.
watched that.
Oh, me too.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did too. Yeah, I watched it
yeah,
like 3 times in a row the first time I seen it, and it just lays it out perfectly. And that warm and fuzzy, that easy comfort just gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and you just can't wait to get it again. The bird at the end, the birds are like sprinting to the next time that he can, get to that little blob. And I mean, that's what it is. And for me, and for people like us, that it went from habit to obsession. You can't go back, and
yeah,
it's hard for people to understand that. But I think,
yeah.
again, we keep talking about it. Hopefully, we'll get to it. We've come a
Raise
long
the
ways.
awareness, raise the awareness, and keep
Yeah,
raising the awareness.
yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, I think, I don't know how it is over there, but I think, like, a good example is smoking. They over here, there's ads, all kinds of ads telling you how bad it is and explain it to you. It used to be something that was glamorized on TV. The main character would be smoking away on cigarettes. But now that's not the case, and there's more information out there on how bad smoking is for you. I don't
Yep.
see why we can't do the same with alcohol.
I don't think they ever will because you know what?
Yeah.
It's ingrained in too many things. Smoking. I used to smoke. I give up smoking. We see what age is Amelia. She's 20. I'm off cigarettes 20 years, and I was a real heavy smoker. Um, I don't think the government will ever stop and do that
No.
with alcohol because it's a completely different ball game. There was something I wanted to talk about there. What was it? There's not many things and they're popping in and out of my head, but it will come to me.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the one I love. Why don't you just drink in moderation, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's not that I can't, right? I just don't want to. But
Yeah.
what is the point of drinking to not get drunk? I don't
Yeah.
understand it. What is the point of going out and having
Makes
2 pints?
it makes no
What
sense.
for?
Yeah. Yeah. That's dumb.
You either drink to get drunk or you don't. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
again, people don't critical think and then they go to you, but sure, I can just take it or leave it. That's another one I've heard, and sorry, I was saying earlier on, I took a drive around Belfast city centre.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful place. It's buzzing. Belfast city centre. We're coming out of the troubles. There's peace in our country now. So there's a lot of good things happening. We've got a lot of tourists coming here and things like that. But when I took a drive around just to look at all the drunk people to see what I used to look like, okay,
Yeah.
coming out of discos and nightclubs and looking like you're having fun, I didn't see no fun. I
Yeah.
seen bottles getting smashed, bouncers, doormen getting beat up, brawls in the street, women falling, crying, nearly getting knocked down, couples fighting and arguing, men punching each other, people lying in the middle of the ground eating kebabs with their shoes off.
Yeah.
Why? And I just went to myself, what was I thinking? Even though I wouldn't have been that bad, but it's a culture, and I really do believe in the quote that I said earlier on, become the change you want to see. So Scott, I think speakers in the schools, maybe late primary school, like when children are 10, 11, being prepared for secondary school, the education system, there isn't enough education on it. It's all about passing the exams, and it's all about getting those marks and sitting down and being quiet and listening to the teacher. And there's nothing about the dangers of alcohol or even loving ourselves. If we were taught in school and by society to love ourselves more, then alcohol would have another less chance of getting to us.
Yeah.
Secondary school, teenagers, oh my God, they need so much intervention for the prevention, so as we're not dealing with recovery.
Yeah.
So if we get speakers and motivational speakers, get the podcast like yourself out there. Your podcast is doing amazing. I've seen you gathering all your followers on Twitter, and that's going to get bigger and bigger, because Twitter's amazing for, I started Twitter as I'm a mad soccer fan, Celtic, Glasgow Celtic, and I gathered all those followers, and it's now all sober people.
Yeah. Right.
So I've gathered the sober tribe. So you know, people like yourself, I've seen you. I'm so glad I came across you that day, because when you put up, does anybody want to be interviewed? I was like, oh my God, because I had been doing my meditation all that morning and talking to my higher self, and then you just appeared out of nowhere, and I was like, that was meant to happen.
Heck yeah.
That's another thing, your higher self. Some people go to AA, some people turn to God if they're really bad. Some people, your higher self, I believe in. So say we're talking about your spiritual side, the universe, the law of attraction. If you want to say God, some people don't like to say God because they think it's religious, but it's not, it's just holy.
Sure.
So I call it GUS, God, universe, and spirit. When you tap into that, if you meditate and you choose the life of walking in nature, loving yourself, practice compassion, read books on giving up alcohol, read books on psychology, surround yourself with people like yourself, talk to people like yourself, and start getting the podcasts out there, I believe that there's a chance that so many people will be saved. Definitely.
I agree, and I think the recovery community on Twitter is amazing. There's one guy in particular, I won't say his name, but he's been going through it. His marriage was crap, and then now he's back, and this and that, and he's just staying positive, and it has not been anything close to perfect, or as some might want to judge, but he's doing it, and I think the community is really helping him. You know what I mean? And that's amazing. And
I'm so glad to hear that. There is so many people. I love to see the people coming on Twitter and saying, please help me, I'm struggling, or you'll get the people who are coming on and saying, I was struggling for this amount of time and look where I am now. And it's absolutely amazing. And it's not just alcohol, it's coke addiction, cocaine, it's gambling, loads of other addictions are there seems to be, Twitter seems to be the place and the platform, because it's not just Facebook. Facebook's kind of local, but Twitter's worldwide, and it's more of it. The algorithms are bringing more people together, and it's absolutely amazing to see. And the young people are watching. And I will never stop speaking where I'm from in my community. And I really hope that I inspire people who are afraid to come forward, but maybe do it in silence and have a look at what their alcohol intake is, and just get away from it, and just live the life on the other side of it, and that's the life of your dreams. And your mind has clarity, peace, joy. Oh my God, there are so many reasons to give it up, and there's no reasons to drink it. That's my belief system. Why wouldn't you want to give it up and just experience this? Lose the booze.
Yeah, lose the booze, man. I tried to say it as often as I can without seeming like I'm trying to make things about me, but you know, with my history, you know, I'm technically here I'm a felon, you know, so that takes away, you know, a lot of rights for me because I have 3 OWIs. I've never hurt anybody. There's never been a victim to anything that I've done. I
Yes.
got so, but I'm a felon. I have no driver's license. I have thousands of dollars of fines that I need to pay. It's really hard to find a job. I've seen my kids one time in the last year and a half in person. I was engaged. I'm not engaged anymore. You know, all these things. Even with all those things said, I feel better today, even with all this crap in my
Hmm.
life than my best day drinking out, you know, outside of maybe the first year of doing it. Maybe I could make an argument that those were some fun times, but with what it led to, it totally negates all the good. There's no amount of good that could negate the bad that has come because of alcohol,
Yeah.
you know. And I
That's
you know
good.
I
I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. But if
well
you were drinking alcohol, you would be 1,000 times worse.
I mean, you
So,
have to, you know, as addicts, we look at things in a negative perspective, you know, and that's the disease trying to talk us into not feeling and going back to it, right? So instead of looking at it as I hadn't seen my kids in over a year in person, I saw them in person last Monday. So things are
oh,
progressing. You know what I mean? So, you know, yeah, I don't have a license,
that's
but
brilliant.
because I don't have a license, I'm able to do a podcast, and I'm talking to somebody from freaking Ireland right now who has a
I
great
know.
story to tell, you know, and it's going to help people, you know. And so you got to look at things at what there are through you know, step back and look at it. And you can't do that in active addiction. You cannot step back and look at things objectively.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a quote I came across. I'm not too sure if mine's was addiction, Scott. I know we all are addicted to something. We're born addicted in this world. It's just the way it's designed. It's the matrix, if you want to
Mhm.
put it that way. The government have us addicted by the time we're 5, and our environment is already created in our wee minds. That's another conversation, maybe for another day. But we're programmed, yeah, but there was something I was going to say there and it's away out of my head again. Oh my God, there's not many things. Um,
I get it.
It'll come back to me. But yeah, so addiction, that's what it was. I don't think addiction was my big thing, but there was a quote the other day and it said, addiction is giving up everything for one thing.
Mhm.
Recovery is giving up one thing for everything.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
that
How
is.
powerful is that? So
That's
think about it.
absolute truth.
Addiction is giving up everything for one thing,
Mhm.
and recovery is giving up one thing for you to gain everything back.
Yeah.
And there you're saying about you had your children the other day, and that's obviously going to get better and better and better and better. And I believe in God. I have a very, very, very strong faith. I'm not religious. I don't preach.
Sure.
Okay. I believe that I'm holy, and I believe that God helped me out of so many hard times. My problem with alcohol started off with struggling as a single parent and my house being repossessed, taken back by the bank, and financial struggle. And then obviously early menopause as well. I started to develop the anxiety with alcohol and the bad relationship with it, and things like that there. So I believe that when I turned to my faith, I honestly, I really truly believe that my faith got me out of the darkness and helped me get that inner strength to just get up and give it up one day
Mhm.
and be able to go out and enjoy my life without giving into alcohol. I still buy alcohol-free beer, not because I feel like I need to have it there, but you know, what else do you do? Drink tea and coffee all day? No, I don't want to drink tea, any more tea. I've drank loads of tea. I don't want to drink water. I've drank loads of water. I want to have
Yeah.
a wee beer, but with no alcohol in it, you know, because
Yeah.
I like beer. So it's there's loads of different ways of getting around it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've went to, it's not the healthiest thing, but I drink a lot of, I've went from regular to diet soda. I love me some
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper, and I'm only 8 months into it. I'm going to fight my battles as I can, and so probably at the 1 year mark, I'll probably start trying to eliminate some other unhealthy things that are going on.
Good for you. Yeah, I've done things like that. I the first thing I done was give up alcohol, and people don't understand. It's like a can of worms. So see, when you take that out of the way, you start to have all these other wee addictions. Like, oh shit, what will I do now then? So because I'm definitely not going to touch alcohol. I mean, we're not superhuman. We can't just sit there and not touch anything because it's like we're born
Yeah.
addicted, like I said. So what I did was then I had a lot of sugar in my
Mhm.
first year. I put on like a stone in weight. I was addicted to cheesecake, and it was always seemed to be at night time because I wasn't drinking wine, and wine's full of sugar. So
Yeah.
my body was craving this sugar. So that's another thing. If when people are thinking about giving it up, um, they will discover that you will find other what's the word I'm looking for? We comforts.
Yeah.
So like you said with your soda, mine was cakes and buns, and then what else? Just lots and lots of sugar. So I've undone that, and then I couldn't sleep because when
Yeah.
you're drinking wine at night and you're going to bed, well, sure, it knocks you out into sleep, doesn't it? But if
Yeah.
you don't drink anything going to bed, you're wide awake. So I had insomnia. So I had to go to my doctor, and the doctor prescribed sleeping aids for me. And then, sure, you have to get off them. So it's not just giving up alcohol and there that yes, your life's perfect. People have to be prepared, but it is definitely worth it. 3.5 years, I am sleeping without anything. I don't drink. I don't need alcohol, but I'm eating really healthy. I'm probably the healthiest I've been in my physique ways and in my mind. I eat my healthy regular diet. I juice fruit and vegetables every day. I go to the gym. I take fitness classes and things like that. But it is a process, Scott.
Yeah.
You can't just give up everything all at once. One thing at a time. As long as alcohol's out of the picture, that's the main thing.
Yeah. And it can be daunting, to look at all these things. And I know early on, last year I was in 3 different treatments, and I saw it in myself and a lot of the other people that were in there with me. It's like you get a taste of like sobriety, you get a few weeks in and you're like, oh my God, I feel so good.
Yes, you know,
I'm
at
gonna
that
give up.
stage.
I'm gonna give up coffee. I'm gonna quit eating that shit. I'm gonna work
All
out.
motivated.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you make all these unrealistic goals. Like I'm gonna work out every day. I'm gonna
Yep,
quit drinking caffeine. I'm gonna quit eating
100%.
sugar. And then all of a sudden you have a candy bar. Then all of a sudden you don't work out today, and now,
That's so true.
now you're failing. You're feeling like you're failing, and then that sets it back. So you have to be realistic. I mean, if
100%.
if especially for alcohol, you're right with the sugar. I I drink a lot of diet soda. So I know aspartame, and I know there's a whole another topic on that, and if it's better for you or worse than drinking, the actual sugar or whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why in AA meetings they hand around a basket for your donations, and then before or after that, you're getting a basket full of candy, because you need that sugar. So you just got to
Yes.
be careful and don't overload yourself. It Handle one thing at a time. And I know that some people are just like, they want to do it all at once because if we're impatient, as I can speak for myself, I am impatient as an alcoholic. I want to be drunk and I want to be drunk now. I don't want to sit here and sip on a beer and gradually get a buzz. That's why I buy a half pint or a pint and I chug that bitch and I'm ready to go. I want it now. And
Yeah,
recovery, unfortunately, it's not like that.
you're 100% right. Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. Yeah, you think at the start now, because you're all proud of yourself because you've actually managed to give up alcohol for a certain amount of time that you didn't think was possible. So then you're like, oh wow, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to, and I actually 3.5 years later, I still haven't done the wee things that I said that I was going to do at the start. I'm
Yeah.
actually only coming around to them now. I went on my first sober holiday. You remember I was meant to do the podcast with you before that?
Yeah.
Wow. It wasn't challenging as in I craved alcohol. I don't crave it. It doesn't come into my head.
Yeah.
Again, the social aspect. So I was with my son and my daughter, and we were around all the bars. You know, I let them go into the bars. I'll go into the bars with them. They don't have to stop doing that just because I don't want to do it. But my son, you know, he got a wee bit drunk. And so I says, right, we're going to go out today and you're going to watch to see what alcohol does to you. I want you to be aware. Try and be aware. And they were laughing their heads off going, yeah, mummy, we're going to be aware while we're sitting drinking and all. So how do we, you know, it was fun. We made it fun. So Podrick, he drank a shot, okay? Changed completely. Changed him into, he got a bit angry, you know, like a wee bit aggressive, scary, violent or anything, but just, and so the next day, he said to me, Mummy, oh my God, he said, if I had been with my friends, I would have just carried on taking those shots and not noticed what that one shot done to me. He says, you pointed it out. We went back to the hotel, went asleep, got up the next morning, and he went, Mummy, how are you doing this? I don't know where you're getting this strength from, because I would break like a plate. That was his words to me.
Yeah.
And I said, Podrick, son, I'm over that now. I don't want alcohol in my life, son. He says, but worrying about me and your son stressing in the bar, was I going to get out of control? He says, you know, it's easy to just go, frig it and take a drink so as you don't have to worry. But you sat there with the raw feelings. And I says, yes, I know. That's part of the journey. That's what I want to achieve. And I'm glad you're talking to me about it. So now you know, don't drink shots. What is the point if they're going to do that to you? So he has agreed that he's not going to drink the shots. But when we were in the bars, people were coming over to me and like, are you sure you don't want to drink? Are you sure you're on your holidays? You know, I says, no, I'm loving this sitting here on my holidays. I don't want to drink. I'm right. When I go back to the hotel room or when I'm lying at the pool, I'm going to write and I'm going to type on my laptop my experience. And it's been absolutely amazing. See, just sitting writing, having that power and the privilege to sit there with my strength and write about it. It was just an amazing experience. My first ever holiday in the sun without drinking alcohol. But that's what we done. We decided to go out that day and be aware and watch what alcohol done to Podrick and Amelia. Amelia, she was okay. She only had beer. But he took one shot and that's what it done. And that's when I said, don't drink shots. Podrick, look what they're doing. You don't even know what's in them. Why is it doing this to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Honestly, but it was an experience. My first holiday without alcohol was just fascinating. I traveled everywhere, sightseeing. I seen the beauty in another country, not just hangovers and hotel walls.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everything is more beautiful. I mean, it's just, your senses are there. I totally get that, you know, and I think it's really important what you're doing with your kids because, you know, I think as parents, sometimes we shy away from wanting to talk about the uncomfortable things, but I mean, that's really how we have to do it. I mean, you know, I've come to find the more honest I am and open about things, the easier life is, right? So I think like, you know, what you're doing, having these conversations and bringing awareness to it. I think that I wish we could bring this approach to recovery into the schools, like, and everything, you know, because I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a whole nother topic for another day, but you know,
I hope we do.
Yeah, recovery is like all inclusive. You know, it doesn't matter what job you have. You know, there's not that you know, we're constantly putting people into groups. You know, recovery is just recovery, and we all can bond. You know, and it's great. Now I see. I did the same thing you just did. I drew a blank.
So we'll see while you're drawing a blank. I'll speak for you because that's all I do is talk. You'll
Awesome.
probably notice. The one thing I would want to say, if there's anybody listening who are thinking of giving up alcohol and haven't done it yet, and they feel like they can't, they can. And my advice, some people may for years didn't think that this would work for them, and I also didn't think that this would work, but this is what worked for me. I got books on the law of attraction, my higher self, God. Like, I'm reading a course, it's called A Course in Miracles, and it's all about love and forgiveness and compassion with yourself and others. You're like not judging other people and showing them love instead. I know it's a tough thing to do, and asking your higher self for the strength for you to overcome this disease in your mind. And I promise to anybody listening, you can do it, because your higher self will step in and it will definitely help you. And once you find that that happens, your faith will get stronger and stronger, and you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah,
If anyone's listening, I hope they hear that.
yeah. Well, I'm sure they were. They will. More people are listening to this than I ever imagined. So it's going to get out there. And it seems like every time that a woman comes on here and decides to recover out loud, it always really seems to take off. So I mean, you're really doing something that's going to help. I know it. This is all good stuff. Yeah, just find something. You have to find that something that you can dive into, because alcohol creates a void, a huge void, in your mind, soul, and then you have to fill it with something fulfilling. They say you have to create a life that's worth not losing.
Yes, definitely.
And it
There's
has
so
to.
much more to life. Honestly, there really is. When you give up alcohol, I just wish people would experience it.
I know, and hopefully, by sharing our stories, our experience, strength, and hope is another AA thing. That it can motivate people that it is possible. You know what I mean? My sole goal, because they told me in treatment, to have small goals, attainable goals. My goal was to get 6 months sobriety, come back and do an open talk there. And now I'm talking to people all over the United States, and now spreading out to talk to people in other countries. It's freaking awesome. It's far more than I ever could have imagined. And they keep saying that the people that have been through it, like yourself, 3.5 years, that's some serious sobriety. And you all are saying the same thing. It is possible, and it's going to be better than you could ever imagine.
Definitely. And you know what? I would love to do more podcasts with you. And now that I've done the first podcast with you, I would like to, because now I've got other stuff in my head that if when we get talking again, to talk about different stuff and to keep the momentum going, and just not to be just a one-off. If you're up for that, I would love that.
Yeah.
Talk on like a weekly or a monthly basis or something, and maybe we'll gather more and more people, and we'll just help more and more people. I think it will be amazing.
Yeah, I think so. We'll work it out with our schedules and the time differences. I think that you would be somebody great to have on. I want to do more and more panel episodes, like having 3-4 people on and having an open discussion and just go around and talk. I did that the other day.
Brilliant.
And so, yeah, I've done it twice now. One was accident. I scheduled 2 people at the same time, and the other one was intentional, and both of them turned out really well.
That was meant to happen.
Yeah, one of them was meant, and the other one was a screw up. So no, this was awesome, Emma. Thank you so much for sharing. And
thank you so much for having me, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, the door is always open. Stay in touch with me on via email or Twitter, and we'll have again. And then we definitely you get your book written. If I'm still around when you get that finished and doing a podcast,
you're going to be in it.
Awesome. Well, this was freaking awesome, and know in your heart of hearts that you're going to help somebody by doing this.
Thank you.
And we're going to do it again, and we're going to do everything that we can to save a life, even if it's just one. Right on.
Thank you so much, Scott. Honestly, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome, Emma. And we will talk soon. Okay.
Yep.
Bye-bye.